glad to see you back from SummerSlam. But could you maybe come in a less dramatic way next time?
Oh, hey, Comair Alexa. It's just that Bayley, Io Shirai, and Dakota Kai returned yesterday at SummerSlam. And I was there to see it live. I mean, oh my gosh. Dakota Kai! What an unexpected return. And your boy's heart melted. Because everybody knows that I am in love with, that I like Dakota Kai.
There's two things everyone that watches the LumberJillville channel knows.
What's everybody know?
Everyone knows you're in love with Dakota Kai.
Yeah, okay, I guess I'm not very subtle about it, huh? But anyway, what's the other thing that people know?
That you have no chance of ever going on a date with her.
I don't think that's exactly true, but let's find out exactly what chance I have. Robo Tamina 1!
Robo Tamina 1, reporting for duty. What is it, Mayor Aaron?
Could you tell me the exact percent chance that I have with Dakota Kai, using your calculations?
Beep, beep, boop. According to my calculations, you have a 0.0000001% chance of ever going on a date with Dakota Kai.
Yahtzee, Shotzi, you're telling me I have a chance! Ha ha ha, Comair Alexa. Joke's on you. It looks like DakAaron can be a relationship thing after all. Just, give me some time on that, okay? Okay.
I never should have let him go to SummerSlam.
Hey y'all, welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here, and today I am wearing Shotzi's helmet. Why? Because I don't know any other time where this is an applicable thing to wear. But anyway, we are here to review WWE Elite Series 95 Shotzi Blackheart. Now, this has been a long-awaited figure for me personally. I've been a big fan of Shotzi, as you can tell. I have a auto in the background of my videos there, right there. And I've just been a big fan of her energy, of her abilities, and I love her character. I just think she's an awesome, unique, cool, inspirational woman. So I've been waiting for a figure for a long time, and when we saw images of this figure, it looked amazing, and by golly, I think it looks even better in hand. Now, before we take a view of this figure up close, I just want to tell y'all that I did go to SummerSlam and StarCast yesterday, and I'm still on Cloud 9. You know, as the intro explained, Dakota Kai returned along with Bayley, Io Shirai, or Io Sky they call her. But I'm on Cloud 9. I've never been to a WWE pay-per-view, and that was like the best thing I could have witnessed. There's a change of coming in women's wrestling, and it's going up from here, and I can't even begin to explain how excited I am to see the direction of the women's division in the WWE. But we are here to review this figure, so let's take a closer look, starting with the package. Alright, so starting off with the packaging here, as I've mentioned before, this new style packaging, well, I guess it's not really new. It started in Elite Series 89, this black and blue themed packaging. I'm not the biggest fan. I think it looks good, it looks fine, but the cardboard just feels flimsy and kind of cheap, and that's always problematic for MOC collectors. Now, I'm really not an MOC collector, except for the AEW women's figures, but certain ones I do get an extra one to keep MOC, and this is definitely one of those that I got extras. I think I ordered 4, one for my desk, one to review today, one for a giveaway, stay tuned to the LumberJillville Instagram, and then one to keep MOC. So either way, I think it's fine. I mean, I just don't know how the shelf life of these are going to be because the cardboard is so cheap. Anyway, we got a nice open window here where we can see the figure of Shotzi. Her name on the front, and it says first in the line at the bottom there. We have the series number at the top, Elite Series 95. We have an image of the beautiful Shotzi on the side there. Her name on that side, and on the back we have an awesome, awesome, awesome image here of Shotzi. And here it says, career highlights, NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, the fearless, death-defying Shotzi rode her tank down to the SmackDown ring ready to take no prisoners and crush her opponents. I wish they would start incorporating the date that the attire is from, because this attire isn't from SmackDown as far as I know. It's actually from when she won the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship with Ember Moon, but we'll get to that later. So up here we have where she's from, her height, and her finisher. Now, what's cool on the back of the basics is they're kind of classified like grappler, technician. I wish they would have done that here and had her classified as daddy. I think that would have been hilarious. I know for a while she was going by that. You know, kind of a funny little joke on the side. But either way, I thought that would really been a funny little addition there. And at the bottom, we have the rest of the line. So I'm going to open this package up and let's take a closer look. WWE Elite Series 95, Shotzi Blackheart. This attire is from the March 10th, 2021 edition of NXT, where Shotzi and Ember Moon would defeat Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez to become the new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. Fun fact, the NXT Women's Tag titles were actually introduced on this night and given to Raquel and Dakota, who were the winners of the Women's Dusty Road Tag Team Cup, but Dakota and Raquel's first reign wouldn't even last the duration of the show. Alright, so my first impressions of this figure, I mean, I'm blown away. I know I say that a lot here, but I am blown away quite a bit by these women's wrestling figures. But this one might be the greatest women's elite that I've ever had right in front of me. Honestly, it is that freaking good. And there's so much to this figure that we're going to cover up close. I just want to give my first impressions and also cover the accessories. And that's probably the only negative thing I can say about this figure. You know, this figure simulates the night where she won the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship with Ember Moon. And wouldn't that have been nice if we had that included? For some reason, as far as women's championship title belts go, it takes a while for them to produce. And we still haven't gotten a proper NXT Women's Championship that is scaled to the right size. And yeah. So I really want the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. And this would have been the perfect opportunity to give us that. But we didn't. And that's kind of unfortunate. But let's get the negative out of the way. And let's cover the accessories that she does come with here. So the first thing you'll notice is her infamous helmet. It doesn't have her logo on the front, but that's not a huge deal. Ooh. It is a uniquely sculpted helmet here. It's like a soft, rubbery type plastic. It's got the horns on the top, this little molded string going around, and it even comes down. There's even some like battle damage on there. And okay, there's a little, oh, there we go. Okay, we got a logo on the side. TCB, taking care of business. So this helmet is near perfect. I mean, it's so awesome. It fits on her good, and it's nice that it is that soft rubber, so it's easy to go on and off. And she also comes with extra hands. So the hands she comes packaged with, she has the heavy metal hands with black fingernails, and then the other one's just an open hand there. And the hands that she comes with is another set of heavy metal hands for her left hand, and then an open hand for the right. So the accessories aren't exactly, you know, blowing me away, but they are good. And the reason we didn't get an NXT Women's Tag Team Championship is all the freaking effort and detail that went into the deco of this figure. And yeah, so let's just cover that. Let's dive in and take a closer look at the face scan, face sculpt, and the hair. Wow, okay, so this face scan and face sculpt, it's obviously Shotzi's first in line figure, and what they did here is tremendous. You know, I've said this before that I love when they have emotion or expressions in these women's wrestling figures, scans, and sculpts, and here we get the perfect sculpt with the perfect scan. We got her tongue hanging out, very heavy metal, very Shotzi, and not just that, not just the awesome expression there, but it looks just like her. Even more so in person than the photos online. If you look at it from different angles, that scan is beautiful. It looks just like her. They even gave her the proper amount of eyeshadow there. And yeah, it looks just like Shotzi. It really does. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I was curious how the scan was going to look in person. And once again, as I always say, make sure your Shotzi scan is printed on correctly. If the scan's printed off that sculpt, even a little bit off, it's going to look real wonky. But mine is printed on perfectly, and wow, I mean, I'm at a loss of words with how awesome it is. So beyond that, we have this really awesome hair sculpt. You know, her real long hair goes all the way down to her backside there. And of course, it is colored green. How awesome is that? You know, I've said before, even beyond the expressions, I love when I can add a women's wrestling figure to my collection that just stands out. And I don't think a women's wrestling figure has stood out in a unique way, at least, as much as this since my Elite Reckoning figure. That figure is so unique that it really stood out. And this Shotzi is so unique. So unique. I mean, green hair on a women's wrestling figure. I love it. Now, obviously, that'd be cool if it was a couple different tones of green, but I mean, that's kind of asking a lot here, as the hair coloration has always been done this way. And it does look good. I think it's a right shade of green, and it looks pretty perfect. So as far as the face, scan, the face sculpt, and the hair, I mean, 10 out of 10. I don't know what else to say other than it freaking rules. Now let's move on to the body and the attire. Alright, so I never thought I'd say this about the figure, but it gets even better beyond that perfect scan and sculpt and hair. It gets even better from the neck down, and it's incredible. It's honestly, wow. I mean, wow, y'all. So first off, taking a look at the body sculpt, it does a great job resembling Shotzi and her physique. I think it looks just like her. Great part choices here. Now, talking about her attire itself, then we'll cover the nitty-gritty details here. She does have sculpted attire on her upper body and lower body. So the upper body is a sculpted top. And the detail on this is insane. I mean, even the seams, you can see sculpted seams along the bottom of her top there. Obviously, the laces are sculpted there. She has a little rivet sculpted on. And there's just a lot of detail and sculpting in that top all across the board there. And I also love the color patterns. I mean, we have like a leopard red on the right side there, and then we have that neon green on the left. Moving on to the bottoms here, once again, a lot of unique sculpting. Even here, it goes above the waistline there, this piece that goes around. Then we have that sculpted waistline belt. Once again, you can see, if you look close, you can see like little rivets. And then these silver like holes here are sculpted on. And the bottoms, once again, extreme paint detail. The red leopard pattern on the right side, black on the left, green lightning bolt in the middle. We have details painted on the side there. And then once again, details on the back. We have these black knee pads. And then down here, we do have these boots. And they do extend up a little bit there. And then a black sleeve painted underneath, very accurate to what she wears. And yeah, wow. Okay, now let's cover the nitty gritties. I mean, this attire is insane. But now we're going to cover the tattoos. Obviously, that's one of the things that really stands out on this figure are the freaking tattoos. And they put them on here flawlessly. Okay, so looking at her tattoo, she has like that goat type tattoo across her chest. And the first thing I'm going to say before we take a close look at the tattoos is the mesh pattern that they painted on. It is so clean and intricate if you look at it. The detailing on it is great. And laying that on top of the tattoo underneath, it looks amazing. Looking at her left arm here, once again, we have that mesh pattern going to about the top of her biceps. And we have the tattoo detail. I mean, you could sit here and look at this action figure for about an hour and find something you didn't find before. I mean, look at all these tattoos. Look at all the deco. Look at all the detail. That's just insane. Looking at her right arm, once again, look at all these tattoos. Look at all the detail. Look at all the deco. Look at all the colors. This is just insane. Even her midsection tattoo here, when you extend her up here with that swivel joint, you can see that spider, and you can see the text there, and the detail, the color is unbelievable. And then even the legs, I love what they did here. So she has leg tattoos, like on her thigh. And she did wear mesh stockings on the night that this attire is based off of, and she does have tattoos under the mesh. And instead of making detailed tattoos, they kind of made a blurry greenish color to go underneath the mesh stocking, but the mesh stocking realistically in real life was a little darker than the mesh on the top, and so it kind of covered those tattoos a little bit, and that's what it does here. So I mean, that's tremendous. You know, they went with the right move. You know, it's like a greenish blur looking, but it does kind of give that effect from a distance that she's got tattoos under there. And a detail I did notice, I mean, look at this, guys. Look at this, guys and girls. Unbelievable. They even painted a detail like that stocking is torn, like it's ripped. That's unbe-freaking-leavable. I cannot get over that. I mean, that is such a little intricate detail that they added that goes a long way. And yes, I know we will cover articulation next, and she does have like ultimate articulation in her toes. But as far as the attire and the body sculpt goes, I mean, just like that head and hair. I mean, it's perfect, y'all. And not just perfect, it doesn't just do a perfect job of replicating Shotzi, but they went the extra mile to make it as detailed and as accurate as possible. And I cannot stress enough how amazing this figure looks up close when you see all these details combined. She also has this little choker necklace that I did not cover, I almost forgot, and that's awesome. You know, it fits her perfectly, so very cool. All right, now let's cover articulation. So as far as her head and neck goes, she can't look down too well. She can look right, okay, that's kind of limited, and look left, kind of limited. And she can't really look up at all because of that hair sculpt. Her shoulder is on a ball joint, can go in all different directions. She has an upper arm swivel. She has a double jointed elbow. She can really get maximum flexion there of her elbow. She has a wrist swivel along with flexion and extension of that wrist. She has that upper torso swivel where she can do an ab crunch and also a little extension there. And she can side bend slightly. She has a swivel at her waist there. She has a hip on a ball joint that can go in all different directions. She has an upper thigh swivel there. She has double jointed knees that don't seem to be inhibited at all by these knee pads. She has an upper boot swivel. Her ankle can rock side to side and also plantar flex and dorsiflex. And then we have that elite toe joint. Now I know I say before that I do not like that toe joint because a lot of times it's loose and the foot ends up like that. So I'm not a huge fan of that toe joint, but the fact that we got that in the Shotzi figure, I mean, how am I going to complain about that? So as far as articulation goes, there's not many women's elites out there that have better articulation. The only real limitation is the head. All right, so next I wanted to do a fun little segment here. I'm pretty excited. So usually this part of the video, I do a little figure comparison. So I take the figure we're looking at and I find previous versions of that superstar and do a little comparison so you can kind of find out which one might be the best or the one that you like the most. But this is obviously Shotzi's first in the line figure, so we have nothing to compare it to. So instead what we're going to do is we paired it with Basic Series 125 Ember Moon. It's a basic that gets a lot of crap. It's not the best basic, but I honestly think it's underrated. But yeah, it definitely goes with that Shotzi and does simulate their tag team in NXT pretty darn well. And then obviously the centerpiece here is this mini tank. So I was shopping at Target and I came across the Marvel Legends Siren figure, and it had half of this tank. I believe it had this half. Then I looked, and Marvel Legends Darwin in the same line had this half. So I bought this half on Mercari, and I bought the Siren figure to get that half, put them together, and we had a mini tank base. So then I got Model Magic and sculpted a skull and painted it silver with black eyes, and then sculpted the letters TCB to make a little mini Shotzi tank. Now, obviously, there are amazing customizers out there that do wrestling customs, and they do a way better job than I ever could. So I'm proud of this just because it's pretty simple, and I think it works. You know, I definitely think it works for fig photography, and it's the perfect size to be her little mini tank. And you could really have her stand in it, stand out of it. You could probably put her and Ember, like, have them sit down and ride it. And yeah, I mean, I would highly suggest if you're looking for a little mini tank to put with your Shotzi Elite, I mean, this is perfect because it does look like a child's tank, like what she drives out there. And then add a couple things like a skull and the letters TCB, and boom, you have a tank for your Shotzi Elite. So I just wanted to show y'all that. I was going to make a separate video and show you exactly what to buy and how to do this, but I just explained it right there, and it's a lot more simple than it sounds. You just basically need to track down the Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure wave and get the Siren and Darwin from that wave, and then the skull and the TCB, you can get creative and put that on there, and then boom, you have a little mini tank for Shotzi. And here's one last look at WWE Elite Series 95, Shotzi Blackheart. I mean, look at this figure, y'all. I can't contain it. Look at this thing. Alright, so now it's time to give this figure a score. So, previously in LumberJillville, the highest recorded score that I've given a figure was Ultimate Edition Series 12 Alexa Bliss. I gave her a 12 out of 10. And that figure was the best figure I've ever reviewed here in LumberJillville, and I stood by that. However, with that being said, I give WWE Elite Series 95 Shotzi Blackheart an overall score of a 12.5 out of 10. I've gone and broke my scale again, but I simply cannot help it. This figure is beyond perfection. It goes above and beyond what it needs to be for an Elite. Realistically, if we got an entrance jacket, and we also got an NXT Women's Tag Team Championship, this would be an ultimate figure. I mean, even the articulation. Like, this is an ultimate figure, just missing a couple ultimate accessories. And remember, this is in the Elite line, so not only is this the best Elite women's figure I've ever reviewed in LumberJillville, it's the best figure I've reviewed in LumberJillville, honestly. I mean, this past year, we've seen some tremendous figures, but this Shotzi is 1,000% my favorite. I think it's the best women's wrestling figure I've reviewed, and that's why I give it a 12.5. I know it's high, but I had to give it a higher score than that Alexa Bliss, because that's a tremendous figure. So honestly, if I were you, run, don't walk, and order this figure, order multiple of this figure, you will not be disappointed. Thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Make sure to hit that thumbs up and like this video to help it out, and also subscribe to LumberJillville for a first look at all future women's wrestling figure reviews. Also, head on over to ringsidecollectibles.com and use coupon code LJV to save 10% on your next order, which should be this Shotzi if you haven't ordered it yet. Also on ProWrestlingTees.com/LumberJillville, there are some LumberJillville shirts, so check out the official merch. Now, that being said, I believe the Supreme Britt Baker figure should be here this week, so that review will be up very soon. I'm also going to do a special review covering my time at StarCast, so there's a lot of exciting content coming out. Now, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and have a great night, y'all.